Uh, Another day, another topic on this subject. And maybe I'm talking about it too much these days. I probably should take a break from it, but just had been thinking about it. Link below to a couple of topics in comment sections of my videos where this sort of things come up. Of course, the subject is moderate theists and godless gaps. I'm really glad that Puppy Turtle and a lot of other theists have come a long way and that are accepting evolution, accept science, a lot of science and whatnot. But there's still so much they don't accept. So many things they still want to stick their God in. And my issue is these are the kind of things that, 50, 100 years, or a couple hundred years from now, they will, if they were living then, they wouldn't be using these arguments, they'd be using other arguments. Because the things they're holding on to now will have been proven or shown that it didn't require God, just as evolution. This whole idea of, God is required to create the universe. Well, we don't have enough information to state that for sure. The science pretty much seems to show that God wasn't required. Yet we have laymen, the most theists that have no understanding of cosmology, no formal education in these subjects, declaring quite strongly that, about things that we don't know. We don't know what's beyond the universe. We don't know how things react outside the universe. We don't know if certain things are possible, like nothing. The hard argument. Can something come from nothing? Well, we don't even know if nothing is possible to exist. We have any examples of nothing. So how can we state that something can't come from nothing? From our current understandings, yes. In laws within the universe, yes. But these laws break down in certain instances. We don't know what's beyond the universe. And yet theists are quite willing to boldly and strongly assert that, yeah, my God's required. Well, I'm sorry, this isn't how science isn't how the world works. Science at this point is saying all the math points to God not being required, but we haven't proven it either way, and we may never. Of course, with science, you're never going to prove it. We haven't shown it either way. At this point, the correct answer is we don't know. Not to assert that God is required to create the universe, or to assert that God wasn't needed. Well, God didn't create the universe, I should say. We have to look where the evidence leads us. And all these gaps, when it comes, things like consciousness, the theists will say that, we'll never be able to understand the brain, we'll never be able to, that we'll never understand how consciousness and humans are created by the brain, is it possible because the soul's there, or Big Bang cosmology, or many of the other things. The great thing about science is it doesn't have all the answers, and it looks for the answers. It doesn't sit there contently and say, well, God did it, therefore there's no answers. We'd said this a couple hundred years ago about evolution, or geology, or every other thing, You said, well, God did it, there's no reason to look. Religion has tried to put barriers and say that beyond this point, science can't look. And every time, those barriers were taken down. And, I'm not going to ever accept an assertion that is based entirely upon our ignorance of a subject, or somebody's personal ignorance of a subject. To me, if theists telling me that cosmology proves there needs to be God, somebody has not even a layman's understanding of cosmology is no better to me than the creationist saying evolution is false. When you don't understand the subject, you don't even understand what you're talking about. A layman can understand and maybe make some arguments, but a layman has to understand there are their limits. Cosmology is a billion times more complicated than evolution. Cosmologists don't even understand everything about physics or the universe, and so on. So how can a layman make absolute statements, especially when the scientists are saying, no, this is wrong, that, you know. And you might have some theists, like Hugh Ross and others, that, want to say there's a God. Well, at this point, we have to look at their reasoning. What arguments are they using? Does their statements fit the science and fit what the facts are? Just as, someone like Hugh Ross saying that, God is required to create the universe is not much better than someone like Michael Behe, who understands, biology and has the right sort of doctorates and whatnot, in saying that, evolution's wrong. Or anyone else. Having a doctorate isn't enough. You have to look at the methodology and how they arrive at your conclusion. The smartest people can still be wrong, and the dumbest people can sometimes be right. Laymen can understand, may be able to correct, and say, oh, well, here's a mistake, and you might be right, but here's something to think about. The arguments I hear from a lot of theists also remind me a lot of the arguments I hear by creationists. They're bringing up arguments that seem clear-cut to them that disprove cosmology. But here's the thing, the cosmologists have spent to already figured out 10, 15 years ago and have already shown this is false. Just as a creationist trying to say that, make an argument that they think is good. Why are there still monkeys? Scientists have already figured it out a long time ago. It's also a straw man. It doesn't really fit the argument. It doesn't fit the understanding. So just be careful of this, Don't assert something because you think it has to be true. Make sure you understand what you're talking about. And make sure you can at least back up what you're talking about. Give reasons for why you think it. And if it relies on your understanding of cosmology and nothing more, then it's not really going to help convince me. So it is a bit rambly, but this is one of the subjects I keep bringing up. This is something that kind of frustrates me a lot. Well, comment below if you agree or disagree. Read some of the other comment threads. Comment there too. I'd like to get some discussion on this. People's ideas, thoughts on this. Get something going.